So to recognize what we are is going to begin to shift our identity. It's going to begin to shift who we know ourselves to be. It's going to begin to override the idea that we are a separate being. It's going to begin to override all our thoughts, negative emotions, and everything else that we're suffering from. So let's dive into that now. We will just meditate for probably 15 or 20 minutes, and just, you can do this with your eyes open or closed. It really doesn't matter. You can sit however you want to. You don't need to sit in any special position. And we're just going to take a few moments to listen to the silence while we're here. We can begin by just relaxing, taking a moment just to recognize that we're here. We're here and we're present in this room. We're present online. And in the absence of these words, around these words, underneath these words, is a silence that's perhaps more noticeable when I stop speaking at first. So we're just going to listen to the silence. And it's not a meditation where we're trying to get anywhere. We're not trying to get anything. We are just listening. And we don't listen. We're not really making a huge effort, really. We're just sitting and listening. Sometimes we'll hear the silence. And sometimes we'll hear our thoughts. Our attention will wander. We'll find ourselves noticing thoughts, the internal noise of the mind. So our attention is going to wander. We're listening to the silence. And if our attention wanders at any point, we can simply bring it back to the silence. We don't need to try to fix anything with this meditation. We're not going to become anything. Just coming to notice that which is always here. So bringing our attention to that empty silence. Noticing that it's here right now. That we didn't have to do anything to get it. Coming to notice that we don't have to get rid of anything either to notice silence. We don't have to push anything away. It's just here. As we recognize this silence that's present, but mostly in the background of our experience. We can see that it doesn't have any agenda. It's not trying to get somewhere. It is stable, it is permanent, it is already here. Each time that we notice and spend some time recognizing the silence, it will change us inside. It will allow us to slow down. That we don't need to make any effort. We're just tuning into what's already here. And at any time, if our attention wanders to a thought, to a sensation in our body, to a noise outside, to an emotion or some energy that's moving, you can just gently bring attention back to the silence. Silence is always present. It isn't obscured by thoughts. Thoughts are just floating around in the silence. You're just listening to nothing at all, listening to silence. Every time we bring our attention to this, it becomes clearer and clearer, more and more obvious. There is something about us that's always here. It's unchanging. It is restful and still. Just being like the silence, letting what comes come and what goes go. It's a very simple thing to just listen to silence. Allowing your body to relax in the silence. We don't have to try to keep it. We don't have to do anything at all. just listening. Just noticing our whole being begins to slow down, begins to relax. Inherently, just by noticing the silence, listening, we begin to be it, to live as it. In a simple meditation, just to listen to silence. Sometimes we'll hear silence and sounds. And sometimes just silence. Anything that arises may pull the attention. A nice feeling or an emotion or some energy moving. You can simply just bring attention back to listening. What am I listening to right now? Am I listening to silence in which the thoughts are just happening? Or am I listening to the thoughts? Noticing that silence is effortless. It's just here. It is undisturbed by any sound. resting in the silence. Could our awakening then be just simply coming back to this over and over? Diving deeper into this. When we notice silence, thoughts are just happening for a while. They're not happening to us. They're not my thoughts. There's just silence and thoughts. Just enjoying being here in the silence. So in a few moments, we'll be bringing this meditation to a close. But as we do so, we can begin to recognize that it is always here. The silence is always available, always present. It's simply a matter of where our attention is. And more, our attention is just wanting to come back to the silence, falling in love with the peace, the quietness, the contentment that happens when we recognize this silence. As we do this more and more, we find that attention comes back here by itself.